Hello, welcome back to the channel. In this video I'm going to be taking this beautiful salmon apart here and I'm going to be turning it into smoked salmon. Now, I'm making a bit of a departure from my normal approach. What I'm going to be doing is I'm going to cure this, because it's such a mammoth salmon. I'm going to cure it in the fridge, but I don't have a fridge big enough to lay this flat. So I'm going to cure it in a vacuum bag. And that requires of me to do a few departures from my normal cure. Obviously I would have it nice and flat, sitting on a tray, but I can't do that in my fridge. It's just simply not big enough. So what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to have this laying in the fridge once I've filleted both sides, and it's going to be on the shelf in the fridge sort of sideways, and I'm going to have the bottom edge drooping down, and that's going to be the bit that catches the brine that runs off. Obviously when we cure fish with salt, we sort of take out a lot of the moisture from the fish, and in doing so that will just sit there as a brine if I don't allow it to run off. I'm going to be using, normally when I cure fish I use ordinary table salt, because that's basically what people have at home, but I'm going to be using this this kosher salt, and you can see it's if you come in nice and close here, you can see it's got a very sort of kind of chunky granule to it. Okay, so this takes time to break down, which means that I can cure it for a little bit longer before this will get too salty, and we don't want it to get too salty. Okay, right, but before we can do any of that, I need to take this fish apart, so let's crack on with that. I can talk while we go. So first things first, I'm going to get this out of the bag. And I'm actually going to use the bag to hold some of the moisture that's going to be on this fish. Now, I obviously want to get on with the process of curing, and if you want to see how this fish is completely broken down from the whole fish into sides ready for curing, then I will post that as a separate video, and I will leave a link in the description. Right, back to the video. So okay, so let's get our salmons on the table. Okay, now we're going to be curing these using a mixture of salt and sugar, and I've already estimated that these are going to be about 1.75 kilos each, so we've got about 3.5 kilos of fish here in total. So I've weighed out my salt already to take account of that, and I'm going to be curing. I'll put all the details of the cure in the description, but I'm going to be curing at the rate, in terms of salt, of about 2.5% salt. So for every kilo, that's 25 grams of salt. So in total here, I've got about 85, 90 grams of salt. And to that, I'm just adding 25 grams of sugar, just to take a little bit of edge. And the reason I'm putting the sugar in, and anyone who knows me and has seen any of my previous videos on curing salmon will know that I do not put sugar in my smoked salmon. Oh, excuse me. And that's just my preference. So this is a proper departure for me. We're going to be curing in a bag and also curing in a completely different way. So we're now going to be applying this salt to the salmon, and I'm going to do an initial sweep on both of these. I want to, obviously, because I'm going to be putting this in a bag, I'm going to try and keep as much of this on the salmon as possible. I'll do the same with this one, and then what I'm going to have to do is take a leap of faith and put all of this into the bag. In actual fact, what I might do, I might actually, thinking on my feet, I might get some cling film and then pre-wrap these in cling film before I slide them into the bag. That would generally give me a little bit more of a sort of head start. So let me go and get my cling film box. Actually, that would probably be better at the end of the table there, wouldn't it? Right, so let's do that. Right, obviously it looks wrong at the minute, but don't worry about that. We'll make everything right. Okay, so let's move this over here. God, look at that, that's beginning to take some moisture out of that fish already. Ugh. That's good stuff. Right, so let's pop that there like that. Could have done with sorting this out beforehand, to be fair. But hey, sometimes it's nice to see it go a little bit sideways sometimes. If you've ever cured in a bag, if you've ever cured salmon in a bag before, do let us know how you got on. Let us know what you think of what I'm doing. No hate, please. We don't want hate. But if you've got any comments where you've done something slightly differently and it's worked okay, then yeah, every day's a school day, I find, and it's always nice to learn new techniques. Right, that makes it a bit easier, doesn't it? Right, let's get this on here. That looks really good, doesn't it? Now, how long am I going to cure this for? Well, because it's in such close contact, I don't think that it needs to cure for much more than about 12 to 24 hours. I think 24 hours might be okay because we cut the salt with a little bit of sugar, and also we're using these big old grains of sugar. Those big old grains of sugar take a bit of time to break down, so I don't think, because we're not using a great deal of salt, I think that we can get away with that for about 24 hours. So yeah, we will revisit this then. Right, so nice and close on here, because we're going to fold this over. Probably do it like this. Whoa, look at that. Okay. So I want the head end to be at the top, which it seems to be. Well, that's all good. I'm going to leave this loose at the end because I want the brine to drain out of this when it goes into the fridge to cure. Right, that's almost ready. Now, I'm going to take as much rubbish off my hands as I can, because I'm now going to get the bag that I've made already. So that's sealed at one end, which is good. What we do with these bags is we fold them over at the end, so we keep that end clean. Alright, this is going to be interesting. So let's just get that in there like that. Okay, here you go, boy. Okay, let's not have a fight. I don't want it to go right to the end if I can avoid it, because I almost want a little bit of a reservoir at the top, like that. Okay, so that looks pretty much where I want that to be, actually. That needs to be, turn that over. Okay, that's looking good. That's looking good. I reckon we could probably go for a vacuum on that, don't you? Yeah, let's do it. Let's do it. First and foremost, let's get as much air out of this as we can. We don't want the machine working too hard. And then let's get this. Well, there we go. That is sealed. And that's going to be on cure now for 24 hours. Whoa, look at that. That's amazing. Right. Okay. So, the way this is going to sit in the fridge is that this is going to be on the flat shelf. And I want that to be just hanging down a little bit so that any brine that runs off it, and it will, and we'll cover this when we film it tomorrow, will collect in this sort of reservoir here, and it won't affect the fish too much because I don't want it to be too salty. So 24 hours like that in the fridge, and we'll see it again tomorrow. Okay, so this is going to go into the fridge like so, and so that's all on the shelf, and it's got a nice sort of slope back, and that is where I want to catch the brine. Let's see how we get on. Right, this has now been curing. I'm going to open the fridge. Oh, look at that. So that's the salmon. That's the salmon on cure in the fridge. And where I've got this hanging down, you can see all that moisture being taken out by the salt. Now we're going to take this out soon, probably in the next hour. Right, look at this. This is our salmon. It's cured now, and all this moisture's come out. And now before we do anything, I need to get rid of this moisture. The next job is we're going to rinse both of these fillets, bring them back onto the bench, and once they're on the bench, we'll pat them dry. And then I'm going to leave them to dry for a couple of hours in the fridge to form a pellicle, and then tonight I'm going to get them on smoke. Easiest way to do that is just to nip. I'll make a slightly bigger incision on that. Nip the corner off that, and then I'm going to take these out of the bag.
Here I'm just rinsing off the remaining salt with cold running water.
Bit of juggling here, look at all that salt that's on there. You want to dry this. Obviously part of the cold smoking process is a preservation process really. And we want to remove as much moisture from these as possible. We certainly don't want them dripping when they're in the smoker. That's great. Right, move that over there. Get the next one on here. Let's put some more paper towels down. Yeah, so when these go in the smoker, they're gonna continue to dry. But before they go in there, I want them to be a little bit drier so that you end up with this nice shiny, what they call it a pellicle. Basically, it's just a thin, sticky salt protein glaze. And it's really there to indicate to you that the fish is dry and it's nicely cured, and also that sticky glaze will assist in smoke sticking to this salmon. They look absolutely stunning. So I'm feeling the texture of this salmon, and compared to how it was when it was fresh, it is a lot firmer. So that's a really good sign. I'm going to get this into the fridge. I'm going to transfer it onto this tray. Right, so without further ado, I'm going to pop this into the fridge and we'll catch up with this when it goes into the smoker. See you in a bit. As I'm suspending these sides of salmon vertically in my cold smoker, I'm going to thread them using some butcher's twine. I'm using a skewer to pierce a hole for the twine just under the gill plates. This bony plate provides strength to the salmon whilst it's hanging in the smoker. Without the gill plate, the twine could pull through and your sides of salmon could end up at the bottom of your smoker, and no one wants that. I'm using a large stainless steel vegetable steamer as my burn crib. I'm using a mixture of oak chips and maple chips for this smoking session. The ceramic pot on top restricts the draw to the smoker and reduces the chance of a flare-up. Note that cold smoking requires no heat and relies on the chemicals in the smoke to both flavour and preserve the fish. I'm hanging the salmon from the very top bar in my cold smoker. They're going to be in the smoker for 24 hours, so we'll need to revisit the wood chips in a few hours to top them up. You can of course use a burn tray in the smoker during the cold seasons, as any additional heat will be lost. I'm using this extendable metal pipe to transmit the smoke from the burn crib to the smoker. If the temperature of the smoke is too great, one method I adopt for cooling the smoke is to extend the pipe so the smoke has further to travel into the cold smoker and consequently has more opportunity to lose that unwanted heat. The salmon has been in the smoker for 24 hours, gently bathing in cool smoke. You can see the colour of the salmon has changed, as has its texture. Both sides are a lot firmer as they've continued to dry whilst in the smoker. This is a really important step, as texture is a key component of smoked salmon. From the few people who tend not to favour smoked salmon, many say it's because of the slimy texture. Allowing the sides to dry improves the quality of the finished product no end. Here I'm going to rest these two sides of smoked salmon in the fridge for a further 24 hours because I want the surface smoky flavour to penetrate through the flesh. To prevent the sides from drying out further, I'm wrapping them in cling film. I just wish you could be here to smell these. They are absolutely stunning. Yeah, we could do with a bit of smelly vision, couldn't we? Okay, next one in. They're so firm. There we go. Right, that's amazing. So these have been smoking now for 24 hours. They really have firmed up. And these will go into the fridge now for a further 24 hours, and then we'll take them out and we'll slice them. Right, well this has been in the fridge now for 24 hours, wrapped in cling film, and I'm now going to slice them. So before I do that, I will just grab some gloves. Try and keep these as clean as possible. I've also got a very slight cut on one of my hands as well, so on my left hand. So I don't want to get that anywhere near the salmon. So first thing I'm going to do is taste this, see what it's like. We'll get rid of one of these sides. We'll do that in a minute. Let's have a look at this one. Oh, goodness me. It smells absolutely amazing. Right, let's flip this around. Oh, this is the other thing. Look at that. There's no bend in that salmon at all. That is absolutely stiff as a board, and that just goes to show you the textural change in the salmon once it's cured, once it's smoked. Part of that smoking process is drying as well, so that's a key step. Right, let's take some slices. Now we're going to use a D slice. I've got my gold boards out, so I'm going to be storing a little bit of this, but first of all I just want to try a little bit of this salmon. Taste what it's like. Wow, what can I say? That is not too salty, and this was the main concern. Sorry, I don't mean to wave a knife at you. This is the main concern when I was curing this in a bag. I didn't want it to be too salty, and I think using such low levels of salt as we did has left it with the most beautiful flavour. I'll pass a little piece of this to Mrs. Coldsmoking, who can taste of it. Tell me what you think. Texture's amazing, isn't it?
Nice and smoky, not too salty, just a hint of sweetness.
There you go. Right, this is how I'm going to store this on the boards. And I can't believe the texture of those. It's so delicious. I mean, just look at it. It's absolutely beautiful. So this is known as de-slicing. If you look at some of my other smoked salmon videos, you'll see that I adopt this technique. Just turn the knife up at the end to detach it, and then that goes on our gold silver board. Here we go. That's one board, and once that's done, all we do is we pop that into the vac bag like so. Into our machine. And let's do this properly, shall we? Okay, there we have it, our beautifully smoked salmon. It was smoked for 24 hours, dried for 24 hours before it was smoked, cured for 24 hours. It's a really simple method, this one, and I think this is something that anyone can do. I'm going to crack on and do the rest of these. If you like the video, please do give us a big thumbs up. Consider subscribing to the channel. It is absolutely free, and there's loads of resources on the channel if you're interested in food smoking, meat curing or charcuterie. And there's little more for me to say than I hope you do have a go at making this. I'm sure you'll enjoy it, and I'll see you on the next video. Take care, folks. See you soon. Bye.